The tortoise is crawled. It's time to get going. That's right. How you doing, Joe?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I like that. I still to this day that music gets me going, and the intro is cool, and I look forward to Thursdays. It's become this cool kind of like, it's work. It's something that we've committed to doing, but it's still a cool hangout. And just getting up and getting rolling is the hardest part of the day. But otherwise, once I'm up and going, Thursdays are good, man. You doing okay?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I had a pretty good week. It was very busy, but it was good. It was good.
Yeah,
I can't believe it's Thursday again. I can't believe we're on this. We're talking again. It went really quickly.
It doesn't it, man? Like, and I haven't figured out if like. I think it's just because I get old. I don't know. Like that time just goes by. And so like when I'm busy, time goes by, and I like being busy and I like being productive. But one of the things I think I like about vacation is that I just slow down, and I like purposefully like have like extremely long days of not doing much. And it'll be a while before I have one of those, but I think that's, for me, that's the difference. That's what vacation is for me.
Well, just to make a dark turn, you know what I think about a lot is I read this article that, as you grow older, and I might have said this because I think about it often because I'm thinking about getting older and everything. Your brain slows down. Your brain slows down its processing of time. Have I mentioned this before?
No, I was nodding, like my brain slows down. I got it. But then when you said slows down the process of time, I was like, well, that's different. That's a more specific situation.
So when you're younger, your mind is quicker, so it processes time. And so the days actually processes time more quickly. And so the days actually seem longer. It seems like you have more time.
Oh,
so as you grow older, your brain processes time more slowly. So the days seem shorter.
Oh, can we trick it? Like, is there like a skill or like a psychological strategy to skip that, or not to skip that, but to trick that or to combat that?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I read it and I stopped reading because I got scared. And then I
Well, I feel like that's the, we hear the psychological or the meditative ideas of living in the moment, or appreciating like truly focusing right here, right now, what's happening. And I wonder if that's tied to that. That's interesting, because I can remember as a kid, like a school year was like an eon, like a millennia, dude.
Right.
And now it's like, I'm like, oh, in 3 years I'll breed these two together. It'd be fantastic. That's just around the corner.
Even for me, 10 years ago, I was like, wow, I have a Saturday and I have nothing planned and I have the whole day ahead of me. And now I feel like, wow, it's a Saturday. I have a whole day ahead of me. I have to really enjoy this, or it's going to go like, even that's really, it makes me more anxious.
Steven says, I heard about this too. New experiences are supposed to help with this. I've heard, and something that I actually do pretty actively, if I'm not in a rush and like have, a 10-minute window to spare, is taking different routes home from the way that you went somewhere. So once a week, because of how my logistics are and my world is right now, I have to drive all the way across the cities to the north side of the cities. It takes about an hour and 15 minutes. I do that once a week. I go up to JSA Reptiles, pick up feeders, hang out with Joe, learn that guy's name. I'm surrounded by Joes.
What's weird is when I had a consulting company, my company was called JSA.
Really? Wow. Oh, that's creepy.
Weird. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Joe's before. I probably can't say that, but I was trying to anyway. So you But the GPS, like without fail, and I don't think it's doing it on purpose. I think it's because of the screwed up traffic in this massive metropolitan area. But it's about 75 miles, but the GPS takes me a different way every time. And like I'm learning my way around town because it's doing this. I get to see different neighborhoods. I see different areas of the cities that I'm not familiar with. And it's a anyway, I don't know. I haven't heard that specifically, but it is something that I focus on. And it's something I think people have heard me say, I really enjoy seasons. And part of why I like the seasons is, yeah, the leaves are cool and all that. I like markers mentally in my mind. Oh, that was that winter. Oh, that was a spring. So a striking seasonal change. Oh no, we were swimming on the lake. We weren't ice fishing on it. In Florida, you have no idea. It could be, November at the lake. You don't know if that was August or if it was November,
Right. High Vis has a good it's anticipation. Adam and I,
we both did this. We both want to be okay. You can be producer today, man.
No. I just Brad. No. Don't give me those responsibilities. Adam and I have talked about this a lot, actually. That the anticipation of something is often even sometimes better, or well, not better. It's just a different experience. It's just so fun to anticipate and to plan and to get ready for something. I mean, it's great. It's just such a good time.
It should be, in my opinion, it should be enjoyed as much as the thing. It's if you enjoy it more than the thing, then I guess there's an argument to say you've wasted your time because the thing isn't very good. But if you can enjoy it as much as the thing, you get like double the experience out of it. So that's always my target is to
when I get in a conversation with somebody that I just met, it takes a little bit of time, but I usually ask the question, what are you looking forward to? Because that can be like interpreted in so many different ways. You could, it could be interpreted as like, oh, I'm looking forward to dinner tonight, or I'm looking forward to this weekend, or I'm looking forward to this trip. Or so it's like they interpret that, whoever you're talking to interprets that question, and it seems to pique their interest. I don't know, maybe sometimes people are like, what do you mean by that, or whatever. But I just think it's a great question to ask people, because what are you anticipating? What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, and it's better. It's a better conversation thing than, oh, what do you do? Like you're under some inspection, or you're about to be like put into a cast. And I mean, like, cast is in the social structure of like, oh, well, here's where you belong because, you scrub rat tubs of rat poo for fun, versus, hey, what are you looking forward to, or what it's almost a different way of saying what excites you without like getting really bizarre answers, which you can get if you just ask a random person what excites you. You're gonna
you've got to curate those questions. What excites you? What arouses your interest?
I'm glad you're on the show today. I would like to start by asking what excites you, and then awkward silence and emptiness follows, and there's no more anticipation.
Yeah, you gotta be careful.
And time slows way down. There you go.
A little update from me. Positive stuff. We talked about resolutions a few weeks ago.
I was going to ask. I mean, this has got to be the circle of accountability, right? I don't know if 2 points make a circle, but talk to us.
I'm down 12. I'm down 12.
Dude, there's only 11 days in the year so far. You can't lose a pound a day.
When you got a body like mine, yes, you can.
But I mean, are you like dehydrating? Are you doing? I mean, like you could.
No, you gotta eat a whole bunch and then do your baseline. See, that's the secret. You just get bloated and bloated, and then you top out, and then so the first time you weigh in, you're really encouraged.
I got to tell you, when I first met Kelly, my wife, she was on, there's this great entrepreneur in Jacksonville, Florida. His name is Jason. He has a company, and it's called Jacksonville Scene. And imagine this, Joe. This guy's made a living now for 20 years, maybe longer. All he does is organize adult sports leagues. And they're like drinking leagues, of course. He got the sponsorship of Budweiser, and that's what he does. So Kelly was bowling on a Jacksonville Scene bowling league, and we first met. And she's like, "Do you bowl?" And I was like, "No, I'm terrible." And she's like, "Perfect. We need you tonight." And I was like, "Excuse me?" She goes, "This is the first match of the league where the handicaps are set and we get one substitution a year. And if you're truly terrible, we need you tonight because it's going to help us the rest of this season." And that's exactly what you're talking about. I'm the, I was the deflated baseline, and I'm horrible at bowling, man. I'm terrible at bowling.
What? How can you be terrible? Just roll the ball down the lane. That's it.
I know, but I try and overanalyze things. I try and, I like to challenge myself. So I try and do the I try and put the English on it, and you gotta hug the what do you call it? Not the bunker. What do you,
the gutter,
the ditch. Yeah. The gutter. So you got to hug the gutter when you do that, and then hope that the spin catches at the end. I mean, it's a thing of beauty when it works, but I'm only good like maybe 15% of the time I hit that shot,
Why do you try to do that? Just roll it down the center. When's the last time you went bowling, though?
Oh, it was in that Jacksonville Scene league. It was, I don't know, probably 10. Well, so they would do these ridiculous like theme nights. And one of them was like 80s workout night. And I showed up, and that's when I was really big into cycling. Now, most of y'all have seen my frame in person, but those of y'all that haven't, I go about a buck 31 sopping wet. And I show up in my cycling gear, full spandex. I still had my helmet on, my like yellow goggle glasses. I mean, I was ready. So I'm bowling in my spandex was the last time I went bowling.
Well,
it didn't go. I just thought it was part of the story. It was quite a scene. And then, of course, you have to wear the clown shoes. So I couldn't wear my cycling shoes, which are ridiculous as enough. Then I was bowling.
There's got to be a photo, right? There's got to be a photo of you.
I will try and
Viking regalia, and then the bowling clown shoes.
Yeah, I'll try to. The funny thing is that night Kelly was out of town, and I was filling in for Kelly. Yeah. And when you first start dating, like you're trying to like figure out how to get like approval from the friends and yes, be like the blessing to be the good boyfriend and all of that. And if it's with a person that you care about, if it's just a fling or whatever, you don't really care about these things. But I was really into this girl, and I was like, man, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to go for it. So Kelly had no idea that I'm strolling into bowling wearing spandex, and her whole team was like, oh my God, look at this guy. This guy cares. He will do it. He gets it. Like, it was going to be
you scored points with the spandex?
Oh yeah, because it was a workout night. You go big or go home. What was I going to just wear a headband? Like, oh, what a cop out. No, man. Show up full spandex.
That's good.
Yeah, full biking gear. The weird zipper that comes down to like here, so you could just see a little bit of my upper rib cage poking through. It was great.
That's very nice. Very nice. It's probably good that Kelly wasn't there.
Well, we proceeded to drink quite a lot. As I said, these were primarily drinking leagues. And then we called her. Yeah, we send pictures. We're texting pictures. We're yelling ridiculous workout video. And one and two. We're doing jumping jacks and stuff. So it was good.
I'm going along. I mean, dry January is still intact. We got and we're just watching what we eat and walking. I'm walking every day, so
good. I do I usually fall off, which always happens on resolutions, but it's a neat challenge and it's a fun thing. I do a thing where I do one more push-up a day than I did the day before. And I figure by the end of the year, in one shot, I should be able to get up to doing 365 push-ups.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Well, the most I've ever gotten to is around 85 or so.
Really?
Yeah, and then I would do then I would break them into times in the day. So, I think the most I ever gotten up to was about 120 or 140, something like that. But anyway, I didn't start at 0 this year. I'm at 36 right now. So this time next week, I should be doing like 43, following week 50. And, you know, you kind of work. You can always do one more push up, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. You would think.
Yeah, I know. Right. Yeah.
I mean, actually, I have a similar thing that I'm doing too. And every 2 days I go up 5 for the month of January.
Okay.
So
there you go.
I'm trying to get up. I've worked it out mathematically that I'm going to get to 100 by the end of January, but we'll see. But it's not. It's not all at once, though. Actually, so it's 3 different exercises, but it's not all at once. So I do
a straight. If there's such thing as a push-up sprint, that's what I try and do. Is I mean.
This is riveting, I'm sure, for our
right. Yeah. Well, hey, so speaking of that, before we jump into anything show related, as far as like what we have prepped, I would be remiss if I didn't, and this is very serious, I would be remiss if I didn't pass on some information to you, Joe. There's a guy, and unfortunately we say was past tense now, named Brian Barczyk, that was instrumental in our industry and really was this massive face of ball python genetic development. I'm serious here. Oh yeah, you got your fan club. But he passed away this weekend. He died of cancer. Yeah, and he was so his YouTube channel has like 4 million subscribers. Like when you talk about the face of an industry, he's right up there and probably the guy. And he had this great knack for bridging pet owners and breeders. And anyhow, he was very public with his battle with cancer. Matter of fact, I couldn't watch it. It was I went through end of life care and with hospice with my mother. So, but he even posted a video. I think it was the day or the day before, but he basically said, this is it. I know it's it. And he passed away the next day. So anyhow, in our world this week, it's been a bit of reflection and consideration. He was the reach of what he did and the number of snakes that he produced. I never bought them directly, but I have some Brian Barczyk snakes, even from collections I bought. And the mathematical likelihood of that in this industry is very high. So it's not like they're trophies or anything. It's not like they're like high in value or anything, but it's just this neat thing to see how much of an influence and how much of a reach he had. Somebody will know the stats better than I will on the number of genes that he discovered or proved out. It's like you say discovered, but they existed already. Like I don't know if anyway that he brought to the industry. So anyhow, like I say, from a reptile guy to a non-reptile guy, if I were to say, hey, or if you were to say, hey, what's going on in your world, that was center stage in our world.
Wow.
This was 4 or 5 days ago. It was over the weekend. I don't know the specific day, but it was over the weekend. So
about how old of a guy was he?
Somebody will know. I'd say he had to be close to, just mathematically, I think he had to be close to 60. He was a young, vibrant guy, though. I would say he somewhere. I put him between 55 and 60 is my guess. Again, somebody else will know a little bit more than me, but he just had energy like you wouldn't believe. And I'm not like worshiping at the Church of Brian or anything, but it was incredible to see his productivity and the body of work that he produced. It was unreal. So, and he was pretty open with depression, mental struggles. I think he was a guy that worked hard to keep himself occupied because there were some challenges, if not from mental health standpoint. So put all of those things into a blender. He was a real force to be reckoned with, man.
He sounds like a great guy. Where was he located? And had you met him?
I had not. I regret to say I hadn't met him. I'm still fairly new to the whole hobby and industry, even 4 years now, kind of coming up on being active in it. I had not met him, but if you ask most people, hey, what was the YouTube channel that got you hooked? I mean, probably more than 50% would say, yeah, I would say Brian Barczyk. There's a couple others, and I would say nearly 100% would say that in their top three. So yeah, he was in Michigan. Yeah, founded Six Morphs, pretty cool. He was 54. Wow. So I know firsthand you don't get to choose when you certainly don't get to choose when you come into this world, and rarely do you get to choose when you go out of it. And he really just made the most of the time. So I like the idea of sort of time not necessarily being linear. We just talked about time perception, ironically, and the amount of life that he packed into the days that he had is really pretty impressive. Maybe that's the striking point that I've been working towards getting to. So, and he left he's got there was like a private zoo, the Reptarium. And that's very famous in our industry. And actually he was working on an aquarium as well, which will be completed before long. And there's foundations, endowments. Nice job to him too on maybe seems a little bit crass, but preparing for his family. And I think he's left his family in good shape with a good legacy. And knowing that's the name of the aquarium, no pun intended, legacy. But anyway, I'm happy that way. I think his family's well situated and that sort of thing.
That sounds like a life well lived, and it's so neat to have a community that knows you and then celebrates you. And I feel for people who really cared about him. It sounds like he had a great life, though.
Yeah. I think it's a good standard and a good goal to aim for. So anyhow, like I said, I would have been remiss had I not brought that up to you. As
sure, I want to know these things. Yeah, definitely. And he sounds like one of the good guys, getting and doing what we try to do as well. We're just trying to follow in his footsteps in a little bit to get people who may not be interested in the reptile world interested in it.
Yeah, that's definitely a lead example that he set. So he never got the notoriety, outside of the industry like somebody like Steve Irwin might have gained. But I mean, in the industry, like say, I mean, literally, if you said who's the guy in reptiles, I bet within the first probably two answers, but maybe three answers, Brian Barczyk's name would come up. And it's been, again, somebody else will know more than me, but it's been 20, 25 years he's been working at maybe longer. I mean, if he's 54, it's very easy to have been at it 35 years,
Sure.
So,
I mean, I feel I really appreciate you bringing him up. I'm glad that you told me about that, because I feel connected to somebody new now. I mean, to be in a community that he was such a huge part of is, you do things so often where you don't know that you're connected to your forebears, right? And then you hear about them and you go, oh, that's why I'm sitting here. His work. I mean, this is the first time I heard his name, but I'm sitting here because of his influence.
That's
which
probably
is
not an overstatement. Yeah,
no.
that's not an overstatement. He was that important. Yeah. I mean, again, the closest analogy I could give is a Steve Irwin type character in our industry. That's how big he is.
I mean, what a great influence, what a great life to live, to have somebody, who is so influential that people are influenced by him, even though they don't even know his name.
Right. Yeah. Well,
it's incredible. It's really neat.
And I think I wrestle with because of the loss of my mother. She was 59 and I was 30 when she passed. I wrestle with how do people live on? How do legacies work? How does life work? What are we owed? What are we not owed? Which is of course nothing. And then sort of how do you not go crazy thinking all those things? And part of where I bring solace to myself and hopefully in his family, and that'll happen for Brian. And I'm not saying I'm their guru or preacher or anything else, but part of how I find solace in that is, and what I work towards in life is what kind of good you can do in the world, how people remember you afterwards, and will you be helpful whether you're present or not to other people. And a lot of that is stuff that I think about each day, and that it literally can drive me crazy sometimes. So I wrestle with it. But anyway, he, like you say, he did a great job. He packed in a whole lot of life into a short period of time. And I think it's an interesting thing to think about, because he did get a heads up on when his time was coming. That's the double-edged. Well, it's not the double-edged sword. That's a terrible way. Cancer is a horrible thing. Some people don't get a heads up when they're leaving. Most of us don't get a heads up when they're leaving. So to have that is an interesting scenario too. So anyhow, we got kind of deep on all of that stuff, but yeah. So that.
But
but
I also love this kind of conversation. You know me. And
I know.
I think about, I do think about, what you leave behind, and whether it's your name or whether it's, sometimes I look at Aiden and he does something that I know that he learned from me. And I go,
right. Yeah. There's the thumbprint.
And I go,
right?
Well, it's not like he says like some kind of joke that's in my vein of humor or something like that. And I go, well, it's not exactly what I thought I would pass on, but it's not bad.
Right.
But really, that's your afterlife. That to me is like your afterlife.
Yeah.
And, by simply talking about Brian and doing this podcast, we're living in his afterlife. That's really cool.
Yeah. And I like art as far as physical or ethereal pieces, like music or thoughts or performance art is that way. And you can leave, lasting memories and hopefully moments of joy that you brought to other people. And I think that's a great way to live on as well. So I think about that stuff a lot, but for whatever that's worth to people in Adam's head. So Phil's got you got a semi hollow body guitar with, and it's not a joke, folks. Those are literally called F holes on a guitar and violin. Those acoustic cuts are called F holes. What you got back there, Joe?
I don't really. It's let's see here. I don't know really what it is. Somebody gave it to me.
Okay. All right. Well, there we go.
I need an expert to come and I just play it. I don't really know what it is.
That's in the vein of a Gibson 335, which is one of the icons, man. You can't go wrong with that style guitar for sure.
I don't really know guitars like Adam knows guitars. I just, I have a few of them and I play them. And then when there's a problem with them, I call Adam. And then he tells me how to fix them.
We try and anyway. Yeah, we try and do a little tweaking and fixing here and there. Joe, what have I told you? I thought I've been kicking around the idea that maybe I should take on an intern, little lump of clay to mold, mentor.
Well, this is interesting because I don't think that you should be molding anybody, really. I'm scared for Charlie, really. That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah. Well, I figured it'd be better to mold and mess up, basically an adult, a young adult, but an adult rather than my son. I could figure out what I'm doing wrong as I'm, he's 11. I got another good 7 years with him,
So you're thinking about bringing on an intern. So you would go to a local college and say, listen, I got some reptiles. I got a business.
Yeah, I would.
So, yeah.
Well, all right. So here's the backstory to it, and there's a couple different things going on here. And the first driving force is I enjoy it. I've had in my career in restaurants and resort management and sales and weddings, I've had about 10 interns. And I had a very good, in my time in North Carolina, I spent right at a decade in North Carolina working professionally. I had a really great relationship with Appalachian State University and their hospitality program. It was so UCF in Florida, University of Central Florida has one of the very best hospitality programs in the world. So home of Disney, it actually makes sense when you start thinking of the context of it. But App State in Boone has a great hospitality management program. And I had interns from their hospitality program come work for me at the 2 different properties that I worked for. And they were actually very, very structured internships. There was basically a checklist of things that we would accomplish in their time with me, positions they would work, and then feedback, review, and all of that sort of thing. And my degree is in secondary education, so I always have enjoyed educating. But there's a practicality to it as well, because 2 things. One, you get the help from the work, from the work that the intern's going to do. But the other practicality part of it is, I think being a good teacher makes you a good operator. I know there's that expression, those who can't teach. Okay, so there's that part. Let's throw that in the garbage. But there is that part. The other part is, if you're leading and setting an example and you are essentially, you're going to be reviewed as well, because you want to be known as a great place for people to come do their internship, because they're going to be so well positioned for the future. You do very good things. And I find that with the show too. I find that being putting myself on a public stage requires me to operate at a very, very high standard.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then I have my own neurotic issue with being perceived as a hypocrite. That's like the biggest sin in the world. So put all 3 of those together, I think that actually having an intern makes me a better operator. It will make me do, and I think I do things at a very high standardized level, but the best way to teach, in my opinion, is to have a definable process and a definable system. If you get an intern and you go, well, I just kind of do this and I kind of look at this and I sense and I have this. No, you got to be able to define things. You have to be able to define what you're doing and make them recreatable scenarios with consistent outcomes. That's how you get quality, in my opinion. So
there's so many things that are coming up with in this conversation in my mind. The first is, let's get back to Tradesman Exotics comment in a few seconds. But
this one, actually, I was going to jump on it really quickly. First, that's Tito and I are great buddies. Tito could say anything and I wouldn't be offended by what he says. I know him too well to be offended by him. It is hard to get people to show up for paid work. First, I would pay the intern. I would make it paid first. But Tito, the thing I love about interns is, now this sounds nefarious. It's not. They really can't quit unless they're going to quit their whole program and quit their dreams. Now, I have had that happen. I have had an intern come to me and say, Adam, the thing I've learned most is that I never, ever want to do this again, and I'm out of here. And that hurt to hear in the moment, but it actually was a really, like, how horrible would it, how horrible would it have been for them to pursue and attain their degree, pop into the world in their early to mid 20s and go, oh my God, what have I done? What have I wasted time, money, and life on? So I was okay with that as well. But I actually find that they were pretty dependable, and I do pay them.
So what I wanted to say about interns, and I've had 2 in the jobs that I've had, is that they are more, because they see it as I was lucky. I'm not saying all interns are like this, but because they see it as also an educational experience, they are kind of more engaged and they want to learn. It's funny.
Yeah,
I think they're at a stage in their life that they're trying to do something with their education, and they see the opportunity to work at an actual place that makes money,
right.
uh, where they go, oh, okay, I'm applying these skills here that I'm learning, and blah blah blah. So I think sometimes they're more attentive. They want to be there more. Yeah, they do. They can do, bad work sometimes, but that's the point. And Adam's point, which is fantastic. I mean, yeah, so often you get a job and maybe you're an individual contributor and you go, well, this is just how I do it. And then you have somebody that is following you, and then you have to figure out, okay, how are these things that I'm doing transferable to somebody else, and
Right.
figure out the process that needs to take place in order for somebody else to do it. It's such a terrific exercise for you, for the leader, to be able to do that.
Yeah, I remember. So I've told this story before, but I never know who's heard it or not. At my last employment position as food and beverage director at this resort, when I first came into that position, that was in 2016. My boss at the time, and a guy that I still consult for to this very day, I forget that there was a little bit of contention in the conversation. I forget the complete context. And his background was Toyota manufacturing, which was still boggles my mind that he left for hospitality leadership at a resort operation. And he's a great GM. But anyway, the conversation evolved, and somewhere in there, he said, Adam, if you can't define what you're doing, you don't know what you're doing. And I was like, hold the boat, pal. Do you know who I am? Do you know what I've done? Do you know what I've accomplished in my world? Don't tell me, and he was like, I'm not saying you don't know what you're doing. I'm saying you need to be able to define it so that everybody else can follow in your footsteps and do exactly as you just direct them to do. And then you could get on to bigger and better things and the next stage of your career. And I was like, that's a really nice way to kick my ass. It was this, it was one of those moments where you're like, oh, you got me, but it sticks with me.
Sometimes you are in a position where you're just moving so quickly, you know exactly what to do. And that's the downside of this, I think, is exactly what you're doing. You're in your space, but now sometimes you gotta slow down and go, okay, now I have to teach this other person. And so I think it does slow down. You're such an efficient guy, Adam. But I think it might slow down some efficiency in the beginning anyway.
Yes, I was going to say you trade it up front as an investment to get more efficiency on the back end. And so I don't, in a completely un-Adam characteristic way, I would actually trade that efficiency for the fulfillment that would come with working with somebody else. And I really enjoy mentorship, and part of what if somebody asks me now, I'm now coming up on 3 years removed from daily restaurant operations. I did work for one of my clients in operations, which the whole idea of being a consultant was to not be in operations, but I took that on for a little while, as recently as June of last year. But one of the things that I miss the most about restaurant operations is the camaraderie. I went from a massive team. I mean, at the height of our season or in the middle of a PGA tournament, I would literally have hundreds of, and I hate the word employees, but for the sake of what we're talking about, I would have over 100 employees. And the camaraderie and the teamwork feeling of it when it goes well. I mean, Jay just pops in at just the right time here. Jay is somebody I just absolutely brotherly adore, man. And what Jay doesn't realize is he saved my career on many occasions. Jay and I ran, I'm not a cocky guy, but Jay and I ran the hell out of restaurants together. He is a badass, and I'm getting a little loose with my language this morning, but I'm passionate about it. So,
and then I just want to point out the opposite, or the other end.
I was not known for that type of behavior, but I can't say that it maybe didn't happen at a time, but I never set out for that.
But you were saying, I'm sorry, I've interrupted you with these other comments.
I miss the camaraderie. So I went from working and leading these massive teams to this huge pendulum swing to rarely leaving the house, not ever working even with another person. And by and large, I'm thrilled. I'm incredibly happy with it. But I think it would be cool to work with another person that was passionate about it. I'm in a town with two well-established, well-known colleges. And I have no idea.
But what are the programs there? I mean, are you going to
No
pick
idea.
somebody out? Are you going to pick somebody out of the business school, or are you going to pick somebody out of like? Is there like a zoology degree?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. It's the very, very early stages, and honestly,
can't go from learning, I don't know, supply and demand to cleaning up shit out of snake bins.
You could, but I wouldn't recommend it. They're going to be like, no, this is junk. No, if there was a zoology, if there was a herpetology program, if there was a biological program, depending on how they wanted to fit in. Now, this is very basic genetics, I've come to learn, but there is a genetic component to what we're doing here. And Snake LTD. Actually, I think this is a really good question. How would you translate running a kitchen crew into running a crew of Snake Room employees? That comes down to the systems and processes. Here's the feeding charts. Here's the definitions of the weight that go with of the prey to each food. Here's the ultrasound measurements. And I don't have a good way to share the screen that I know of. I suppose I could take a screenshot, but I go absolutely crazy. I use Apple reminders. I don't know if it'll show or focus on there. You can see there's 63 scheduled tasks. There's no way, in my opinion, that a human is going to remember 63 tasks in an organized manner. So they get scheduled, they get reminders come. Today, I have 19 of those 63 tasks that I need to accomplish today, and they're programmed in there. They're automated. They pop up. They remind me if it's a repeat thing. Once it's programmed in, that's what I do, and then it can be dynamic. So we'll take the idea, and a lot of the audience will know what I'm talking about. The rodent room, I set myself on a 2-week rotation of changing out the bins. Well, I found on the 12th day, it really was where I would prefer to clean sooner from the smell, all the results. Okay, so I changed the repeat from 14 days to 12 days. So now I don't have to remember, I did it Tuesday last week. Is it Sunday? That would be Sunday in 2. I'm not going to remember Sunday in 2 weeks. No, boom, it's automated. It pops up. There we go.
Yeah. That's a good system. And I mean, we've talked about this in the past too. That Adam is a very different type of worker than I am. I'm not really too sure if we would really work well together, because I get so easily distracted by things. I don't even know if I'm really a good worker in general, because I get so easily distracted by things. And that kind of system would be like, I'm so hemmed in to doing these things. But maybe I would thrive in that. Maybe I'll come up and be your intern if that's okay with you.
Oh my God, that would be a great reality show. Oh, Joe the intern. Oh my God, we got to do it. Like, come vacation. I'll pay you for a week. I mean, it's like $14 an hour, but we'll do it. But let me talk to that for a second. So here's what I found. When I found both interns and managers, and Jay, man, this is a great show for Jay to be in the audience. And by the way, Jay has no reptile interest. I tried to get him to invest in my business. He's like, I don't really think that's my thing, Adam. I'm like, yeah, but your money could be the thing. He's like, no, not going to happen. Anyway,
Jay's one of me. Jay's one of me. All right, Jay.
Yeah, Jay's a rational person.
It's you and me. We're the normals on the call.
So you said, paraphrasing, a system like that would make me feel hemmed in.
Yeah.
I say a system like that gives you direction so you can get on with what has to get done And then the things that you don't want to be hemmed in for, like leadership, interacting with guests, spending time with your employees, you can be doing that. So instead of trying to memorize a 40-point facility walkthrough in your mind, you don't have to. It's on a sheet of paper. Put your ego away, check yes or no 40 times, and there's your outlook for the day. If you check no 8 times, there's your 8 tasks that you need to go get done or go delegate or do with your team. And you're organized and you're smooth, and there's not the stress of trying to remember everything. And the fact is, to go all the way back to the intern, in life, I think to grow, we need help. Doing stuff alone, man, I can't even read here. Like, I got to catch up on this. Joe's just losing it, and I'm trying to have a good, like, business philosophical conversation. And the guy's just laughing into the camera at me.
This is exactly what I'm talking about, because somebody said, let's see, Joe the intern, do it as a pre-Tinley special. And yeah, I saw that. And I heard nothing that you've said over the past 3 minutes.
Great.
Because I've been thinking, oh yeah, that could be, yes, we could then I would come up and maybe we could get a sponsorship or something.
That's right. You see, now that's how it works.
So I started laughing, but I kind of heard what you said, Adam, and I apologize for my okay. What's the animal that gets so easily distracted that people say, oh, I'm what is it, a seagull or a squirrel or something?
Yeah, a dog chasing a squirrel. Squirrel.
Right. Yeah, right. So I apologize, Adam. But your point is,
my point is
on you.
And I said this to many managers who would say to me, why would I need a checklist? I know exactly what I'm doing. And I say to them, because a checklist frees you to do the stuff that can't fit on a checklist. It frees you to build relationships with your team. It frees you to, hey, if you got your job done, and this is an unhealthy thing, but hey, you got your job done and you want to go hang out with the chef and have a smoke on the back dock. Now you have time to. You can build and have your camaraderie time there. You're organized. You're not stressed, and your staff isn't going to reflect your stress. Boom, it's organization, it's defined, you know what's happening, and you can have recreatable, consistent results. That's what we did, and we had a damn good time doing it. I miss those.
Yes, yeah. So I can see that. And I'm not going to say, I'm not as regimented as you, but I also have a system, but it's on a legal pad where I have my to-do list and a checklist and everything. Yes, I do.
Ask Jay about my note cards. Man, I had these things everywhere. They were in my pocket, boom. But I wouldn't leave until either I had crossed everything off my list of my note card, and then I would make a new note card for the next day, and that was waiting for me on the desk right there.
Well,
boom.
It is what you make of it, though, too. Like, so sometimes I'll have a checklist, and then I'll feel like, I don't want to do this stuff right now. I'm gonna do this other thing.
You're like, I see this checklist and I veto.
You gotta elevate the checklist. You gotta put the checklist on a pedestal and go, okay, that's the thing I got to do first, and do that. Yes. And sometimes I don't do that, which is it's a mind thing. The other thing, though,
I'm sorry, can I talk about really fast?
Yeah, go.
12-second thing to anybody who this, like, by and large, this show is just entertainment. Have fun, drink some coffee, go on with your day. But to anybody that this is speaking to, there's a book called The Checklist Manifesto, and it is a fantastic organizational leadership book. Go get it. If truly, if you're running a big operation and this stuff doesn't fit into your world and you're wondering why you can't, like, get to that next level, go get The Checklist Manifesto. Buy it used on Amazon. It's a great book.
Yes, I would agree with that. Checklist Manifesto.
Have you read it, or are you just saying you agree with it?
I'm just saying that.
Okay, that's cool too, man. You can be a yes man, a good yes man.
You're not supposed to point it out. This is you and I are on a team. This is why we wouldn't work well together.
Trait of a great intern, man. You passed for the first interview question. Yeah,
I'm back in your play.
I love it, man. There you go. I was excited I was like, wow, we can discuss it, because I could do a whole episode on the Checklist Manifesto. I love it.
No, let's not do that.
See my eyes light up. I'm like, yes, let's do it.
I know. You look so happy talking about it.
It's productive. It's efficient. It's going to lead to making money. I believe in it, man.
The other thing that I noticed when you start, and maybe other people in the chat might agree with this, when you start leading people, it's amazing. It's amazing how closely you are watched.
That's
as
right.
a leader. Like
Scrutinized. People are waiting for you to screw up.
Right. Or like just they'll match your intensity. They'll match your the way that you hang out. They will match like how like they're feeling you out. That's something that when I started managing people, I was like, oh, they're looking at every little thing. They're not just listening to what I say. They're watching when I come in to work. They're watching what I do at lunch. They're watching. So it's really an interesting thing to really reflect on and go, okay, because that's going to help you. So if you're thinking about getting an intern, I think it's going to bring your business to the next level. It's going to bring you to the next level too, because you'll get back into that mindset of training people, of bringing them up, of making sure that the process is transferable, all of that stuff. And I think all of that stuff is great for business.
I think so. And I'm in truth, man, and we're coming a little bit short on time. By the way, I'm horrible about doing this. 26 of y'all hanging out. Thank y'all for supporting the show. Check out Cold Blooded Cafe. You get Proper 11. It's going to get you 11% off of your frozen rodent order. I feed frozen thawed to my adults. We can do a whole show on, wait a minute, why are you growing rodents if you feed frozen thawed? That's a different business venture. Proper 11 at Cold Blooded Cafe. Those are still what I'm primary feeding. And check out Creative Genetics. That's Keith out in Fresno, California. He's working with the Stranger Gene in a variety of recessive projects, and he has those hets available now. Creative Genetics. That's Keith.
And I
own some of his snakes.
I've gotten to know Keith a little bit on the chat, and he's just such a great presence. And I bet I'm sure Adam can attest to it. I'm sure he's a great guy to work with and
we chatted yesterday, yeah. And he watches the show live on the West Coast. It's 5:22, awesome. And he's been hanging out since the beginning of the show. Unreal.
Dedication. That's dedication right there.
That's it. So check out those sponsors. I do appreciate them. Joe, I was thinking that we needed to. Every good intern needs a title. You can't call an intern anymore. I mean,
okay.
So I tried to get a list of 5, but in full transparency, I could only come up with 4. And 2 of them I stole. So I really only came up with 2. But the 2 that I stole are pretty good. So I'm going to use them. So my number 4, and I could use oh, look at that. Jen orders from Cold Blooded Cafe. Oh, by the way, that Proper 11 promo code, it works on top of their sale prices, guys. They have like 35 to 40% off right now. And Jen and I, driven by Jen, I'm not stealing this moment here. Jen at High Viz, she said, hey, your promo code isn't working. And I said, well, I think you got to have an email to sign in with. And she says, well, everything's on sale. Is it going to work? I said, I don't know. Let's see. It works. It's 11% off of sale prices too. Boom. There you go. So I came up with on an intern title, and audience, you can help me too, because I think I might be a year out on an intern because we got to get into some liability issues and trust, or maybe we have to pick it up next week. Maybe that's what we'll do. How do we trust other people or something? I don't know. That well is deep. We can go.
Yeah, there was a comment about the trust of taking care of living creatures for sure.
Oh, and the whole idea of, I mean, I talk to interns about this incessantly at the restaurants and the resort. I am trusting that you care enough about this place to protect my livelihood. This might be a stepping stone for you and a test market for you, but this is how I feed my family. This is how I provide this house. This is how my son has hopes and dreams. don't screw it up kind of thing. You know, like you got to care that much. So yeah, getting over that hurdle. Holy cow. I thought that, you know, I referred to a lump of clay earlier. So I thought the notorious LOC would be. It's the reason I didn't get into comedy, but I thought it was pretty good. You know, you could, you know, you got the good afternoon, everybody. This is my associate, the notorious LOC. That's the lump
LOC,
of clay.
spell it out for me. What's LOC?
LOC, the lump of clay.
Lump of clay. Notorious LO. I thought this would be specific to snakes.
What? Well, the next one is.
All right. Okay. So I'm going no notorious LOC.
All right. My number 3 title.
I'm not a very good hype man. Somebody called me a hype man. I guess I'm not a very good hype man.
Oh, here we go. Keith has his top 5 list. By the way, Keith just did more show prep than Joe did. This is good. Let the record show. My number 3 title. Director of Poop Operations, or
there you go.
Dopo. Hey, Dopo, right over here.
Dopo. Oh, Dopo. That's perfect.
Dopo, Director of Poop Operations.
They would love that. I think they would love it. They'd go back. They'd get a stamp of approval from their college. It'd be great.
When I worked at a summer camp in college, and it was not an internship, and it was damn near indentured servitude. But it was at a fantastic summer camp, rich kids summer camp. The amount of money flowing through this place was unreal up in Maine. And I was hired as the director of fishing. That was my actual title. And I had no idea. And when I was applying for my role with the PGA Tour, I put that on my resume because I'd only worked for one other company. I worked for Ruby Tuesday for 10 years. And I remember to this day the guy going, Director of Fishing Operations. He goes, wow, tell me about your staff. What all did you do? Like, what is this program that you ran? I was like, well, I was the one guy. I did everything. He's like, that's not a director. I was like, it is to them. You can talk to them about it. That's what I was.
All right, so, number 3.
Yeah, that was number 3. I didn't have 5. I only had 4. What?
Oh, we're counting down. Oh, okay, got you. I'm counting up. You're counting down. Okay, so number 4 was the notorious LSC, then Dopo, then number 2. Okay, number 2.
The assistant to the traveling secretary.
I think that's taken.
Yeah, well, like I say, I stole 2 of them, and maybe we're showing our age here. But before we pull the curtain back on the assistant to the traveling secretary title, my number 1 title, no matter their pronouns, no matter their gender, no matter their sex, their title would be Darren. Darren would be.
Everything comes back to Seinfeld.
It all comes back to Seinfeld. Those of y'all that don't know, Darren was the intern for Kramerica Industries for one Cosmo Kramer. I don't know, timeline wise, was Kramer out of the closet as Cosmo by that point or not?
Yeah.
He was. Okay.
Yeah.
You nailed you right off the top. You're like, yeah, duh. Of course he was. I had no idea. All right. And then, of course, George Costanza was the assistant to the traveling secretary for some time, wasn't he?
Yes, that's right, for the New York Yankees.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Fecal engineer. Look at that.
Wow. Fecal engineer. That's very good. That's very good.
Right there.
I was going to say something with Wrangler, like the reptile Wrangler. No.
That'd be my title, but he could be the rodent wrangler. That's really where I want the intern. No, I'm joking. To tie it all the way back full circle, this actually was a suggestion of Kelly. Kelly works in academia. She works in the college, and she was like, why you enjoy it? Why wouldn't you take on an intern? Why wouldn't you get yourself set up for that? Maybe next week we could continue because we've got to talk about just from a true business standpoint.
Come
HR,
on, Ball Butler. That's great.
Grand, pretty good. Let it rip, people. We're going to go 5 minutes of overtime just for these. These are fantastic.
Keep them coming. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Adam. I'm sorry.
No, this is very good. This is I'll just ramble on for a minute while the good insightful people. And this is why you crowdsource stuff, because no matter how smart and witty you are, at the end of the day, 28 minds are going to think more productively than your one mind can.
Exactly.
And there is a man, this is a great tangent. There's an I can't think of the author's name. I keep his book on my bookshelf in my office, but it's a book called Kleon. That's his last name, Kleon. It's a book called Show Your Work. And he has another series called Steal Like an Artist. And Austin Kleon, that's his name. Sorry, it took me a minute. Google Steal Like an Artist. There's like a TED Talk and there's videos about it. And it's written almost like a picture book. But Checklist Manifesto, Tito, or Steal Like an Artist. But either way, Austin Kleon says, create a scenius. If there's a scene with enough like-minded people, collectively, you could be a genius. And that's where I stole the top tier name for my Patreon. That's the scenius tier. We work together, we build together, we build a scene where collectively we can become a genius. Jay, thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man. I love you, man. I'll talk to you soon. I'll give you a call. Jay's going to come be the intern. Oh, man. It would brighten my day. Oh, my gosh. That'd be amazing.
Hey, do we, with Jay leaving, do we want to talk about next week and what we have planned for next week?
Yes, we better. We can't continue this conversation next week because Joe, for all the crap I give you about a lack of show prep, Joe did some serious show prep. What are we doing next week, Joe? First ever.
The whole idea of this show is to invite non-reptile people to get to know, the ins and outs of the reptile community and talk about, what the community is talking about. And so we're not getting a lot of viewers who are non-reptile people. So we thought, well, why don't we just force it on somebody?
We're just going to drag somebody in here.
We're going to drag somebody in here. So I found one of my good buddies, and I don't think he's ever met Adam, actually.
I don't think so either. I'm not familiar.
He's going to be, and we've gotten suggestions to have guests and things. So I thought, well, why don't we have a non-reptile person come in, help me out a little bit, because I certainly need help, ask questions, have a guest, and have a different voice on. And we thought, well, let's test this out, and maybe we do this occasionally. We find people outside of the community, bring them in. I'll be kind of like the mediator, because I'm kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and then we'll see how it goes. So I'm really excited about it. Actually, he's like, can I promote our podcast? So we did a podcast years ago, and it's not really for everybody. It's interviewing people that we went to high school to see where they are now. But we talk about our hometown, and we talk about, and we just have a good time together. So he's like, yeah, let's see if we want to invite them into our community as well.
There we go. I don't want to ruin your Thursday morning, but as much as we say it, this podcast really isn't for everybody either. So it's okay.
The podcast is called Crimson Sheen. So if you want to get a sneak peek of Jay, is his name, you could dial up Crimson Sheen wherever you get your podcasts.
I checked my spelling there in the comments. I believe that's it. Go Google Crimson Sheen. Right. And you're going to see Joe before he was Joe on Proper Cup of Joe. That's right. This is for the cool kids here.
This podcast got me thinking I want to do that again. So actually, we're coming out with a new season of Crimson Sheen probably in the next few months. So,
oh man, I like it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think that I know for sure I have an actual. This is an actual
Thanks,
job
James.
too. I have have a different kind of actual job to get to, unfortunately, this morning, and that's going to require ironing a shirt and shaving a little bit.
Okay,
so
brother.
I got to wrap it up. What a fun show. I hope I mean, you know, what's crazy is I always have a good time hanging out with you, Joe, but the ones where we really get like going and having a fun time, it's like magic. The numbers go up. We hit 30 this morning at one point.
That's great.
30
That's
people
awesome.
listen to us to ramble on with cartoon cups and mugs talking about Darren. What a world. What an exciting time to be alive. Like, it's awesome. Fantastic, man. I love it. Audience, what I'm trying to say is thank you. I'm humbled and in a real, like, bearing my, true insight. I love being able to expose friends and somebody like Joe to this world and to see it grow. I remember when I was like moving up here, when we started this thing, we had like 7 people viewing one morning, and 30's not earth shattering, but it's more than 4 times as many people that were growing and having fun, and their sponsors and its own persona and community and follow up. So thanks everybody is what I'm saying. And we'll keep working on our content. Joe said he might get a ring light. What do you guys think of that? Dun, dun, dun.
We'll see what happens. I don't know.
All right, guys. Oh, sorry. What's your our guest's name next week is?
Jay Wilson. Yeah.
Jay Wilson from Crimson Sheen. Joe and Jay. Should we maybe we'll rename, maybe I'll put a little special, I'll cross out Joe and I'll in the graphic, I'll cross out Joe and I'll put Proper Cup of Jay.
Hey, let's not
yeah, intern Jay taking over for the
let's not put people on the spot here. Let's pull it back a little bit. All right.
Intern Jay will be joining us next week. The director of I'm going to think about what director of what operations Jay will be in between the middle now and then. Take us home, Joe.
All right, y'all. Thanks again for a great show. Thanks for everybody who chatted, and for those who are listening who don't chat, get on that chat and don't worry about it. We love everybody's comments. It's fantastic. So have a great week, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Thanks.